Hello, everyone. My name is Jenny Burak, and I'm an astrologer. I work with the energy of the Holy Spirit, or Archangel Metatron, as he's known in the spiritual community, and bringing forward these messages. And in sessions, we look back at other timelines, or current, since time is happening all at once, and remove stories from the physical body and the astral bodies, the subtle bodies that may be holding you back. My classes are about coming to enlightenment through the natal chart and going through like the collective conscious stories that all of us share. That's just part of the collective consciousness, and we go through the axis of the charts. In like the first class that I taught last year, we removed more than 30 stories, and I have more material to add with Archangel Sandalphon relating to manifesting, which is part of the Virgo Pisces axis. So I'm going to be doing that work with him and adding that to the class. I want to be sure that my schedule, that I'm able to devote myself to mentoring people who are taking the class, learning this material for the first time at the time that I release the classes. So that's why it has not been released yet. So I just wanted to, I realized from a comment that was made a couple of videos ago that I haven't described what exactly that I do for a while. So I thought I would just mention that. And wondering how everyone is doing. It's really tense out there right now. I'm actually not feeling it so much, but I had a real passive aggressive email with a thinly veiled threat from a female who's sort of like acting doing it for someone else, who's, had an issue with me of abuse of power. So that sort of reared its ugly head over the weekend. Of course, I was told before it happened that it was going to happen, so I was ready for it. Still kind of shocking, though. I was sharing the story with my mother, and she isn't a part of any of this, but she said that she was really disappointed to hear that in the spiritual community, there's a lot of like cattiness and pettiness. I know because of the person, the source of this, what is going on with their natal chart in respect to mine, and basically can't see anything but what they hate about themselves in me, and can't see themselves. And that's just, you just can't, we're only triggered if there's something for us to heal. If somebody, is, what's he saying, like having like some sort of drama escapades, just let it, that's their issue, and you can just leave it with them. But we have Pluto, as now Mercury is coming up to, in Eris, is coming into a square. He's with Eris, the goddess of discord, of chaos. Not a nice feminine energy, nasty. For me, like Mercury would be an email, and the passive aggressive stuff is just sort of the manipulative energy that we've got as that Eris Pluto square comes to be. And so you may also, as now Pluto is stationing, remember he is the planet of power, and he is coming into his station to begin moving retrograde. And when Pluto is stationing and beginning to move retrograde, we can see a lot of abusive power scenarios, where people who are jealous, who feel threatened by us or by our knowledge, and maybe having these imaginary scenarios of things that are going on that are not true because of paranoia. All of that energy is happening right now. And so as we move into this new moon energy, I just want you to be aware of that. So, if you get a nasty email or a passive aggressive email that's disguised, then, you just let it go, and that's their issue, and just leave it with them, or the group of people that they've shared it with, whatever you need to do to keep yourself out of the fray. So I wanted to talk a little bit, because I hadn't had the words to the song Riders on the Storm, and I think that this is something that we're going to come back to. I'm going to be working with Sandalphon. He's saying the foreseeable future. We're going to do more meditations with him. There's a really cool meditation coming up where we're going to, witness the earth as a star. We don't need to be going out to get the cosmic vibes. The cosmic vibes are all in our own little star that we're on right now. And so we're going to be doing that meditation, and then we'll take a look at the chakras of the earth. The solar plexus of the earth, the power center of the earth, obviously is the core of the earth, but coming up from the core, you'll see when we do the meditation, you'll be able to see the different places where the chakras are, and they all look like sacred geometry symbols. And wherever the energy then comes up, it's in different places, but he is saying it's equally distributed throughout the earth. There isn't one like portal or area that's more that generates higher vibrations than another. He's showing me that they're equal like throughout the planet, and they actually are down. They're not on the surface, they're actually down. It's just that the energy comes up then through certain, obviously it travels through the ley lines too. But so that'll be fun. We'll do that with Sandalphon. But the Riders on the Storm, the lyrics are, and he only used just that first stance. Into this house we're born, physical body and your family, the house where you're born, and into this world we're thrown. Like a dog without a bone. No sides. No, like nothing to hash out, nothing to argue about, no disagreements between ourselves and anyone else. An actor out on a loan, that everybody is just playing their own roles. And, they're thrown into we're thrown into the physical body. We forget, like, oh, I'm my higher self. I'm an ascended master, because we have all those DNA programs and everything that we came to work through with our family. And so really then after the first 7 years, it's unlearning the programs, what caused us to forget who we were, he's saying our original vision, our original mission is coming here to remember that we are sparks of God, that we are a piece of the Creator, that you are the glory of God incarnated in a human body, that you're really one with everyone. And now as Venus is in Gemini now, and she'll go retrograde then in mid-May. We have a few planets that will go retrograde in the middle of May. And really like a big full moon at the beginning of May in Scorpio. That's on May 7th. So I'm going to get back to that video. I'll be back with that video. Not like 2 weeks isn't going to go by before we talk about that, because that's a big one. But while Venus is traveling through Gemini, it's important to remember that the other is always a reflection of you. Like in this abusive power scenario with me, the person has their south node happens to be right with their their Mars, and it's on my Mercury. So that's how I know that they can only see like what they hate about themselves in me. But that's their story. It's only when we take it personally and we feel offended and angry that their energy is allowed to come in. I did have Metatron removed, a knife from my back, because I can tell when someone's gossiping about me. I just, unfortunately, and I've kind of I've had to just shut that off, because, I don't want knives in my back. I don't really need to know. But that's just something that with all of us when you're very psychic, when you're in tune, he's saying with that, and you're checking in, like what's happening with your vibration, you may find those kinds of psychic attacks, hooks, a lot of times they look like in your space, and always just ask the Creator to remove those and to take any from their space that you may have sent as a result of them sending to you, and then to cleanse the soul fragments of each of you through the Creator's pure love, and whoever else was involved. Tends to be a lot of people involved with this person. So I did all of that work. I needed to do that before I could make the video. So that's why the video is a little late. I also had some last minute information come in like Thursday, Friday, pretty big stuff that I needed to be able to figure out how to work into all of this. that's coming up, like for future. It was an Earth event, something that I was shown, and we'll talk about that on another video, probably when we do the video with Nostradamus. But let's remember, as Venus is going through Gemini, that the other is only reflecting to you. He is reminding me of what he's teaching us about I love myself. And he's adding, I accept myself. Actually, Sandalphon, well, they're both with me today, but Sandalphon is, he's saying the primary. I love myself and I recognize myself in everyone. When there's something that you, when you're suspicious of someone or you're like, that's you. It's me too. That's why I said, like, every time that comes up for me, I have to say, like, oh, it's something with me. And then I have to go in and look and do the work for it, you know. And I don't ever suspect this person, even though they've proven to me many times over that they are not trustworthy. I still always trust them because, you know, the light in me recognizes the light in them. I don't have that thing where I'm seeing only shadow in them because I don't see it in myself. Like, it's not there for me to be reflected back to me. And really, you know, that's where we're all coming to, you know, for the love of humanity. We're all, the whole idea behind all of the star systems, the light systems coming here, incarnating here, is to see if we could recognize ourselves as a spark of God, and then recognize that one another. And he's saying, and then in turn, recognize the other, that everyone outside of us, that we've all shared the same experiences. He's talking about that we share the same dreams, the same visions, that we want a planet that is bountiful and prosperous and peaceful, and that we achieve that not by cosmic waves coming in from outer space to the earth. We achieve that by each of us individually changing our hearts, changing the pattern that tells us that we compete against one another, and that we're not on the same side. It's when that's what awakening is about. It's recognizing that, oh, I'm a part of all that is, and so is that guy who loves Nancy Pelosi, and so is that guy who loves Donald Trump. We don't have any skin in that game. That's the illusion. The only time that bothers us is if we're conditioned to be attached to the illusion, is what Sandalphon is saying. So when I talk about things, different issues, I don't even know, like somebody had referenced that I was being political. That's not in my thinking, honestly. I did used to be hardcore political junkie a long time ago, and I just, you know, I put that down when all of this really became more my focus. I just didn't care. I just recognized that it was all just a way of tearing us apart, and it's a strategy, he's saying, to tear us apart. Metatron is saying it's a strategy to tear us apart. It just causes division. And, you know, once we can all be united and recognize that we all want what's best for all that is, that's when peace comes. That's when we experience a new earth. It's not anything that the galactics are bringing to us. It's done individually in the heart center, is what Sandalphon is saying. And that's the way he's saying to become in tune with the cosmic, the energy of the cosmos, is to always be in the heart center. And now I'm seeing Commander Ashtar. Commander Ashtar, you know, when when I work with him and I'll say, like, well, what message would you like me to bring through? And he does have some to bring through, not right now with me, but his big message and over, you know, always his message is what he's showing me always, no matter when, is that you are only love. Why complicate the matter? That's what he always, you know, he's a man of few words, Commander Ashtar. But yeah, we're only love. And the rest of it is illusion. So are the galactics. That's all part of the illusion too. You know, it's just a different place. It's a cooler place. No. But, you know, most of my stuff is the cosmic, is with the galactics, and I channel the council. But, you know, I also recognize that we're all just sparks of God. We're all a part of the energy of the Alpha and the Omega. And so let's talk about the new moon coming in Taurus. It's happening at 3:25 a.m. on the 23rd in London, 9:25 a.m. Central Standard Time for the United States on the 22nd. Did I say AM? That should be PM. Sorry, 9:25 p.m. on the 22nd for Chicago and 12:25 p.m. on the 23rd for Sydney. I think about you guys in Australia. You have to know a lot of you are down there. You have to let me know like what the weather is what's happening for you guys, because for us it's not so bad. I feel like because we're about to we're getting into springtime. We're like waking up and it's getting warm and nice out. And I was standing outside of the store waiting to buy these flowers today. And I was saying to the woman behind me, thank God it's not the middle of January. And I don't know, I wanted to touch on that a little bit too. Okay, he's telling me we're going to talk about that in a minute. So let's look at the astrology for the new moon in Taurus. Taurus is the sign of the goddess, Mother Gaia, Venus, pleasure, sensuality. It rules the physical senses. He was talking about people being in a state of heightened sensitivity because of everything else that's happening in the astrology right now. And it's beauty, it's admiration, it's these flowers, it's the stones. Oh, that's more Pluto, I suppose, but it's the beauty of the earth, admiration for the beauty of the earth, and the goddess, and the goddess in the way that like Ellen DeGeneres and Oprah Winfrey are both born at their Venus star point. And I think I'm going to do a video about that actually, about the cycles of Venus and the Venus star point. But they are representations of the goddess. I've met Oprah more than once, and she literally vibrates. Her vibration is so high. And they're not like the stereotypical, the Hollywood version of the glamorous beauty, but they were born at their Venus star point. Like, that's a big deal. That's like the goddess incarnate. And so, all of those are Taurus. We want to just have appreciation for the love for the earth, for all of the bounty that she provides, for the provision that she makes for us, and everything that she brings forward, for the current, the wave of love that flows up from her, that he is talking about. Sandalphon is saying anchors us in to the love of the earth, that she provides for all of our needs, that everything that we could possibly want comes from her, that she is ever present, ever abundant, is what Sandalphon is saying. So this is happening at 3 degrees and change of Taurus. So if you have points or planets at 3 degrees of any sign, this will be aspecting that, or if your houses begin there. So let's just take a look here. You can see the sun and moon down there at the bottom, very close to the Great Awakener, Uranus, the one who brings us freedom, who, what was the Game of Thrones the breaker of chains. I like that for Uranus, that breaks the chains. If you notice then, let's see what that would be for you guys. To your left, I think, you can see that the planet or the asteroid Eris, and then next the little tick is for Mercury, the guy with the little antennas on his head, and then between them and where Chiron and Black Moon Lilith come together is Archangel Michael. And I feel like Archangel Michael is sort of bridging together all of those energies. And so there's a huge call here for freedom, because Uranus is about freedom, and Chiron and Eris wants freedom. We talked about that has to do with being unable to breathe. Before this COVID-19, we had the vaping crisis in the United States that affected mainly the millennials. But there's a lot of things coming up about lungs And that's why we did the work releasing the grief. And I really appreciated all of the feedback for the meditation, you guys. That was nice. And I'm so happy that so many people did the meditation. That makes me very happy. So this is in what's called a trine. The moon and the sun coming together are in what's called a trine, like a harmonious flow of energy, meaning that there's no effort. It's just there. It's just already working together congruently. Same with trines in your chart. Of the south node and then the hypothetical planet trans-Pluto Isis is at the very beginning of Virgo. The south node of the past is in Capricorn. And so, and when we talk about the breaker of chains, it's typically releasing us from past karma. He's talking about hidden karma, things maybe that we weren't. And he's talking about he's talking about referring to like social status, like things where we've maybe looked down on people. Like I know that some people were, when I use the expression the little people, it's just to say that I was trying to make the point that, you know, the little people are like, if it wasn't for the little people, society would not function at all. There are a lot more little people than there are big people. You know, we comprise we're the main ingredient. We're the main ingredient. It's what Metatron is saying. And so really, you know, recognizing why do we think that this person is more or less important? You know, time for like class to maybe be dismissed. Oh, that was cute. Class being, I said that, I didn't even recognize what he was doing until that came out of my mouth. But yeah, time to dismiss the idea he's talking about culture wars, everything of division, and really being able to come together, to recognize that we are all a part of humanity, and what it takes to allow society, or to make the function of society come in a harmonious way. Like, what do we need? What changes or revisions could we make? And I feel like when we're talking about this long Venus, course through Gemini, that we could maybe go back to, like, Henry Ford allowed employees to be shareholders. I feel like that would solve so much of our problems if the person that's driving for Uber was also given a chance to be a shareholder. You know, it just always is good incentive when we're making an investment of our time, and we feel like it's more critical to us that there's success of the company if we're being rewarded for our efforts. So when we look at this new moon and the south node at the end of Capricorn, in governments and institutions and bodies that control like how society functions, it's still very close to the fullest, which is like the end of a karmic cycle. And then that hypothetical trans-Pluto Isis at the beginning of Virgo, that's in that harmonious trine, that's about a rebuild that needs a vision that can, he's saying, sustain patiently the amount of time that it takes to implement this change. Now, any new moon is a 2-year cycle, so you look at like the square that happens 10 months from now. You'll see something of the seed that you plant. When we're talking about something coming individually, then it could be like releasing yourself from a relationship that no longer serves you. I think probably in the next 2 years, there'll be a lot of changing partners. I don't think so much this is a time when the union is going to be taking place, but definitely a releasing. I mean, this can't really be more clear with that astrology being in Taurus, no matter what sign where your sun is, that it's time to release. But he's talking about like something that you're not getting any satisfaction from. There isn't any pleasure, there isn't any happiness, there isn't any love, or he's saying feelings of camaraderie, where you're like on a team and having the same vision. Uranus is also about the broader vision and what's best for humanity. We can have what's best for us and what's best for humanity at the same time. There doesn't need to be a sacrifice made at all, or anything that's uncomfortable for us. But really, like, taking a look, he was bringing up too that this could be a time when someone maybe looks back and thinks like, oh, I wonder if I had gone this way. I've had more than one person bring that up in sessions too, about what they were planning on doing with their lives and then what they ended up doing. And now that they have this downtime, kind of thinking like, and just really giving that another shot, or going over, maybe there's project that began that you have not finished. This is a good time to be doing that as well. We've still got Pluto and Jupiter together, and though they're, because Pluto is retrograde, like I said, it's going to really affect people's sense of, the sense of survival not being assured. This is bringing up a lot of survival issues for people. Pluto is also resistance. When we can be, I was working on someone last week, and they're a reader, and I was trying to get them past the ego so that they were able to take a look at what Metatron was showing me, and they just could not get there. They have Pluto in their first house with the South Node, and there was just so much resistance. It's obviously just not time, and I had been the one that reached out to them, so I just thought, okay, maybe should have taken a look at the creator's idea for the best timing for that. But you just have to let that go. But I'm trying to point out that everybody has an aspect in our chart that we don't see the truth about ourselves in some way. And sometimes it can be that we're afraid to look because of what we're afraid of what we're going to see. There's still some part of us that feels guilty, that's wrapped up in the illusion and believes that they're bad or that God won't forgive them. Everybody has that. And so it can keep us from being able to see the fullness of our light, or it can keep us from being unable to recognize things that we, shadow, things that we need to transmute to light. We're still in this transformation energy, but now Pluto is enhancing it. And so this new moon is big. And like I said, it's a 2-year cycle. Let's look at Venus is ruling the new moon, and she's in Gemini. She's at 14 degrees and change of Gemini. So this is the Omega symbol for Gemini 15 is a magician's tower looms above the surrounding landscape. And he goes into communication with this. I feel like the magician's tower, the energy of Metatron, or your own higher self, the aspect of you that the creator calls your higher self, standing up there, taking that higher perspective, that Uranian perspective, and looking up, that's above the mountaintops, looking down and seeing, okay, how can he's showing me moving, manipulating things with our hands on the land, to change the landscape. And what would it be that you would like to change in your immediate space and in your future moving forward? The symbol that's 14 degrees of Gemini deals with telepathic communication. And I find that really it's very strong right now. Be careful with that. Because, whenever we're ungrounded, we're picking up all kinds of things. And that's why, I've cleaned a lot of attachments off people lately too. And with Taurus, this is really a good time, if you can at all, with the weather, wherever you are, to stand on the earth with shoes off, bare feet. Really allow your feet to sink in to the earth and feel the current of love that comes up from the earth. Just close your eyes and ask the creator or just state out loud that you're allowed to feel the field. He's saying the field of free flowing, pure, unconditional love that comes up from the earth. That you'll be able to feel that coming up, that current rising from the earth star, feeling it under your feet and coming up to your root, into your heart, and kind of going shoo out the top. It really can clean you right out. You can do that with a tree too. And then I wanted to mention that the 4th degree of Taurus, that the Sabian symbol for that is the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And it's riches that come from linking the celestial and earthly nature. So, we've got the cosmic, the celestial, Uranian energy, and the moon is in her sign of exaltation. She loves, of course, pleasure and the senses and things of comfort. And so that's where she finds her respite, her happy place is in Taurus. So it's a fantastic new moon. Whatever you do for manifesting, and I've talked about this before, even if you just light a candle, make a list of what it is that you would like to manifest. You can never manifest for someone else or for a particular person. You can manifest for a loving relationship and what you would like that relationship to be comprised of. But we can't name a person. But I don't know why he asked me to mention that, but make a list of what it is that you would like to see come to fruition and what you would like to see come to fruition for humanity. And then on the back, what you would like to see finished. I, for one, would like to be back to a time when science and facts were respected, when fear wasn't so prevalent. With that Jupiter Pluto stuff, it's a lot of fear, and somebody said once, like, oh, I wouldn't have noticed but I'm mentioning it because you and I, maybe we're not feeling it, but a lot of people are. And, maybe you're not having I'm not having any financial issues, but for a lot of people, they're already having financial crisis. A lot of people, many more people are having a financial crisis right now than aren't. And so it's important to be sensitive to that. And that, if the creator asked me to talk about the economy and the roller coaster that we're about to get on with that could be just for the people watching that, feel that are going to have like economic ups and downs or a complete turnaround. This Uranus can be like, whoof, it's that Wheel of Fortune Uranus, where there's going to be a significant change. And like I said, this energy in particular plays out over 2 years, the new moon. But there's definitely going to be a change in what is important and our sense of self-worth. So this is a great time to start instilling new programs of what it is that you're worthy of, instead of what was shown to you by your parents not paying enough attention, or, never having a smile for you because they were unhappy with themselves. We take that personally when we're little kids. We think that that's us. And it's probably never was anything to do with us. And so this is a great time to start doing that, making that commitment to yourself, to grow yourself, is what he's talking about. And he's also saying it's a great time to recognize how resilient you are, that you're able to overcome challenges. We've got that Mars right in the first house here, and he is in a trine with a nice flow of energy, that long blue line. That's an easy flow where Mars and Venus are just having a very nice conversation with each other. They're in the air sign, so something to do with like freeing our mind with the story that we're trapped. Not always so easy to do when we're quarantined, but really like breaking out of old patterns. This is also a great time before Mars gets to Pisces to look at our eating habits and our movement. And he wanted me to talk to you about stretching. And he had me do like the yoga where you just go, you put your head all the way back and all the way forward. And to do it as like slowly right now would be a good idea for muscles that we're not jerking around too much or lifting things without making sure that it's like a sustainable way of lifting, like from the legs. Before Mars moves into Pisces, where it's not so easy to initiate like new movement. But really, this is a great time to do that kind of thing. The physical body is Taurus. And so with these energies, we may want to be like implanting new programs in the mind and also the physical body, releasing old habits that no longer serve us. That's that Pluto retrograde as well. But when you look at Archangel Michael with Mercury, Chiron, Black Moon, Lilith, all of those energies together, that just tells me that people may be getting really carried away with believing that their freedoms are being thwarted. is what Metatron is saying. And Mars, this is when I'm going to talk about what I was putting off, or not putting off, but so from August through October, Mars will square the planets in Capricorn. That is not a comfortable energy, and we may see a second wave. Something most likely will come up with having to do with the pandemic. So, I don't know if it's going to be, I feel like it's probably the same. That's what it looks like to me now. It doesn't look like a different COVID. It looks like the COVID-19, but it may begin mutating at that point. Creator, show me the... So it looks like as Mars goes through Pisces, that there are some changes coming, maybe for the virus there, or maybe for the spread of it. But he's saying that resilience is a part of that as well. For the virus is resilient. And I don't know, do you want to? And he's reminding me that our vibration is higher than the virus. When you see the virus, and I was going to talk about that, what it looks like, okay, in case you're curious, because I woke up with it in my space one day. So it completely took up my aura, and my aura is huge. It was like wrapped around me. It looked like a bird. It looked like most of it was a bird. It's sort of, maybe I should have tried to draw it, but the nose was what was most what caught my attention the most. It has like a long, I don't want to say a beak, because it's more like a snout. It's almost like a possum is what it looked like. It had like the long drawn out, like the possum's nose is not that long. It was long and sort of pointy, and it had beady eyes, like black eyes. It didn't have any motion to it. Not emotion, any motion. It was sort of like, that's a really good way to describe it. It was sort of like that was the energy of it. But yeah, it had like the long nose kind of thing, and it had like the beady eyes, and I felt, while it was in my space, I felt horrible. I'm just sending love to all of you who are, have taken that on for whatever reason. I talked to a client who was one of my students, and I said to her, why did you agree to accept it? Because she knew when she was exposed. And she was like, I don't know. And then she rattled off like all the reasons why it was good for her to have the experience. And she thankfully isn't thinking of you, Maggie, sending you love. She wasn't in like such dire straits. But and that was the storm too. Anyway, and Maggie just sending her love. But yeah, she was on the mend. She was doing much better. But she did have good, valid reasons for why she had that experience. And some people want to have the experience, But what was I going to say about the storm? So after I finished making the video, I saw an article, and you can look it up. But it was like what happens when some people are exposed to the COVID-19 as it's cytokine or cytokite. I'll have to put it in the description box. I want to say it's cytokite storm. That's what happens in the physical body. That the immune system like rushes to do something, and what happens is that the immune system goes all off kilter into this cytokine storm. I can't remember if it's cytokite or cytokine, but anyway, it has this storm that erupts in the immune system, and that's what causes it to become so much worse for some people. So Riders on the Storm makes a lot of sense. And, really coming back to releasing all of the identities that Pluto, where we hold on to things that no longer serve us, like what our political affiliation, the country that we live in, the mask that we wear, is what he's talking about. And he's saying, like, it's time to try on a new mask and have a new adventure. That was Sandalphon. So anything else? Oh, and I also wanted to mention that he brought up the song Just Breathe in reference to Venus being in Gemini. He wanted me to remind everyone that a good way to do healing for the inner child and to release trauma from the body when we had experience with bullies is breathing exercises, breath work, doing any kind of breath work. You can Google that. There's a lot of places where you can find help with breath work. He was talking about the We Are the World energy and remembering what that was like when we all came together, the difference that we can make. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones that make a brighter day. So let's start giving. And also asked me to remind everyone, whatever you can give, to, not be holding back, to give freely now. That comes back to you. That's like an act of faith sometimes too. And saying, yes, I have enough. I have plenty. I have so much that I can give this away. And then he was talking about earth changes, as far as earth changes coming up. I think that as Venus moves into Cancer, we may see a lot of rain. So I want to talk now about what I was shown. And this is, some people are already hopping on this bus, but we all, collectively will be there as we move into May, going up into the new eclipse, the next eclipse. So this is one of the things that was shown to me. It looks like I spilled something on this paper, but I just drew this for a friend so that I could send it to her. So I asked about the timeline coming up. Excuse me. And you can see that we're on the long line. Okay, so we're here, moving this way, and then literally it just went. It went. It's hard to do that backwards. And it was blue. It was like Mother Mary blue, was the color of it. A beautiful blue. And that's what's happening. That's the spring forward. Now that I'm doing the video, I'm thinking I might change the name of it, but we'll see what he says. And so I brought my phone because you guys cannot believe that what happened. So, and this kind of stuff does happen to me a lot, but this was like really wow. So I told you it was blue, right? So last night I'm going through Facebook. It was the California photography page. And I come upon this picture, and I hope it shows up in the right color. Do you see that it's light blue? It was literally like what he showed me in a photograph. I was just blown away. The lines are blue. And someone took this at the San Francisco airport. I wanted to mention their name, actually. Yuji Morita in San Francisco took this, and it's a picture of a plane taking off. And guess what time Yuji posted that? 3:33 p.m. posted that picture. So I just think it's so incredible. And this is Metatron. This is the Metatron energy, okay? He's being funny. Sorry, I don't know why I'm coughing, but I'm not sick. I think I didn't take my allergy stuff over the weekend. Oh no, it totally just flew out of my mind what I was going to say. Oh yeah, like how, somebody in San Francisco took a picture of that and posted it at 3:33. They probably have no idea. But that Metatron energy, that's the connection grid, the rainbow bridge, the connector. That's how we all are synced up, right? And you can sync up to that connection in the lower vibration where you think that there's an angel bossing you around, demanding things of you, that the creator that there's an external authority figure that wants something from you in order for you to feel approved of and loved, or you can just accept it, that you already are there, that you're already accepted and loved, and that everything that you're doing is enough. Whatever makes your heart happy is what you should be doing. Nobody outside of you is demanding anything of you. It's always what makes your heart happy. And he's talking about what is the goal for you? What is the goal? Have you asked yourself, what's the goal? What's my final destination? As what he's talking about. and then we point our arrows in that direction. We do that always at the new moon. And right now, you may not know exactly. I always say too that it's in that first quarter square. So a week from the date of the new moon, that would be the 29th or the 30th, depending on where you live, that's when we take action. We make a step. Even if it's just, writing down the plan, but some kind of something that like shows that you're serious. So the universe is like, "Oh, okay. That's what they'd like." Yeah, we are the world, and I feel like there were other things, Metatron, Sandalphon, that I was going to talk about. Yeah, the arc, because it does like arc that timeline, and so he was bringing up the Martin Luther King, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. So that's great. Anyway, guys, and I will address, I know one of you had said in the comments, just the disparity that we're seeing. Like, really, if you're in a home right now and you have everything that you could possibly need around you, be grateful. Just the attitude of gratitude right now, so important. There are so many people who don't have a place to be, don't have what they need, don't know how they're going to get it. And there is so much disparity. This really puts a spotlight on the social and economic disparity that we have. But as soon as we get done with this political nonsense and teams and right versus left and liberal versus conservative, and we're able to come together in every country, that's when society changes. And it's, really looking out for the guy, because the government is not providing what a lot of people need right now. Like, small business fund is already finished, and they're not taking any more applications. So, wherever you can give, if it's a box of rice to the food shelter, that's great. So everybody, I'm sending you all so much love and happiness with this new moon. I feel like I can feel the Taurian energy already kicking in, and it just feels lighter to me. Venus and Gemini too. That's a great, dance, sing, make sure that you're playing. Just playing. Venus and Gemini needs to play. So yeah, everybody take care, and I'm sending all of you so much love. I appreciate all of you so much. Take care of yourself, you guys. Love you.